Now, former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif admitted that Islamabad had violated an agreement with India signed by him and ex-Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 1999. He referred to the signing of the Lahore Declaration and its breach by Islamabad during the Kargil War. The Lahore Declaration, signed on February 21, 1999, was a significant milestone in Indo-Pakistan relations and was born out of a historic summit. The declaration was a framework designed to address long-standing issues between India and Pakistan. Its primary objective included promoting peace between two neighboring nations. The declaration was breached when the Kargil conflict erupted months after the Lahore Declaration was signed. In May 1999, Pakistan forces led by General Pervez Musharraf infiltrated the Kargil district in Jammu and Kashmir. The move was a violation of the declaration, which called for peaceful resolution of disputes. Before we move forward with this conversation, let's take a look at a detailed look into the declaration and the timeline between the signing of the declaration and the Kargil war. I'm going to go to the big wall over there. We're going to give you an understanding on the Lahore Declaration, what it exactly stated. In fact, I have the declaration is here. I'm going to quickly read it out. The following is the text that was there in the Lahore Declaration. The Prime Minister of the Republic of India and Islamabad of Pakistan, sharing a vision of peace and stability between their countries and progress and prosperity for their people, convinced that durable peace and development of harmonious relations and friendly cooperation will serve the vital interest of the people of the two countries, enabling them to devote their energies for a better future. So, of course, this is the Lahore Declaration that we are referring to at this point of time. And, of course, I've told you exactly what was mentioned in the declaration. We have more information on the declaration itself. It says that convinced that durable peace and development, of course, this is what I've read out, recognizing that the nuclear dimension of the security environment of the two countries adds to their responsibility for avoidance of conflict between the two countries, committed to the principle and purposes of the Charter of the United Nations and the universally accepted principles of peaceful coexistence. Of course, these were the statements that were there. In fact, this is the Lahore Declaration that we are talking about, Lahore Declaration of 1999. If we have, if we could also show our viewers more information that was there. Okay, we have it over here. Reiterating the determination of both countries to implementing the Simla Agreement in a letter and spirit, committed to the objective of universal nuclear disagreement and non-proliferation, convinced of the importance of mutually agreed confidence building measures for improving the security environments. Of course, you know, this Lahore Declaration of 1999 was, of course, seen as a breakthrough, a major breakthrough between both India and Pakistan. And of course, there's more that we have over here for you, recalling their agreement of 23rd September 1998 that an environment of peace and security is in the supreme national interest of both the sides, and that the resolution of all outstanding issues, including Jammu and Kashmir, is essential for this purpose. Have agreed that their respective governments, we're going to, of course, take you through more and more details that were mentioned in the Lahore Declaration. But for now, of course, mention of Jammu and Kashmir over there, shall intensify their efforts to resolve all issues, including issues of Jammu and Kashmir, shall refrain from intervention and interference in each other's internal affairs, shall intensify their composite and integrated dialogue process for an early and positive outcome of the agreed bilateral agenda. Again, viewers, as I was telling you, it was a major breakthrough, a major bilateral breakthrough between India and Pakistan. More details from the declaration itself: shall take immediate steps for reducing the risk of accidental or unauthorized use of nuclear weapons and discuss concepts and doctrines with a view to elaborating measures for confidence building in the nuclear and conventional fields aimed at prevention of conflict, taking more of a deep dive, reaffirm their commitment to the goals and the objectives of the SAARC and the concert their efforts towards the realization of the SAARC vision for the year 2000 and beyond, with a view to promoting the welfare of the people and of South Asia, and to improve their quality of life through accelerated economic growth, social progress and cultural developments. Of course, we've now taken a deep dive into the Lahore Declaration. A lot, in fact, we have mentioned, and there's of course more over there. Shall promote and protect all human rights and fundamental freedoms. Signed, this was of course signed at Lahore on 21st day of February 1999. So of course we have the date over here when this agreement was signed. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, and Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister of the Islamabad Republic of Pakistan, were the two people between whom this was in fact signed on 21st February 1999. Now, when we take a look at the timeline of the Kargil War, on May 11th to 13th, 1998, India denotes 5 nuclear devices at Pokhran. So this is of course the starting point that we are referring to at this point of time. In May 28th, 1998, first nuclear weapon test conducted by Pakistan in Chegai Hills. So of course, we're taking a deep dive into the Kargil War and where exactly it started. When we take a look at February 21st, 1999, the Lahore Declaration, as we were just talking about it, was signed between Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Nawaz Sharif. So, you know, of course, now we're here in February 21st, 1999. We're going to give you a better understanding on this. Now, when we talk about May 3rd, 1999, a Pakistani intrusion in the Kargil district was reported by local shepherds. Of course, you know, on May 3rd, Pakistani intrusion. On May 5th, 1999, Indian Army sends out patrols in response to the earlier reports. 5 Indian soldiers were captured and killed. So, of course, on May 5th, 1999, we're learning that 5 Indian soldiers were captured and killed. When we take a look at May 9th, 1999, heavy shelling by Pakistani Army damages Indian ammunition in Kargil. So, of course, this is, we are, of course, referring to May 9th, 1999, of course, progressing. You know, and again on May 10th, 1999, multiple infiltration across LOC confirmed in, you know, the Kaksar and Mushko sectors. So, of course, there was a confirmation that came in on May 10th regarding this. And again, on May 26th, IAF begins airstrikes against the infiltrator positions. Of course, on May 26th, there was action that was then taken. If we take a look at June 5th, 1999, India releases documents recovered from 3 Pakistani soldiers that indicate Pakistan's involvement in the conflict. So, of course, on June 5th, recoveries that were made by India were now, the documents that we are referring to were, of course, then released. June 6th, 1999, Indian Army begins major offensive in Kargil. So, this is, of course, we are now referring to the starting point when India officially started its retaliation. June 15th, 1999, US President Bill Clinton forces then Pakistan PM Nawaz Sharif to immediately pull all Pakistani troops out from Kargil. So, of course, now, of course, we have international intervention that is going on. And again, on June 29th, 1999, Pakistani forces begin their retreat from Indian-administered Kashmir. So, of course, June 29th there. So, we've of course given you a timeline and there's more of course to it. July 5th, 1999, Nawaz Sharif announces withdrawal from Kargil after a meeting with President Clinton. So, of course, again, viewers, as I was saying, international intervention. This is exactly what happened on July 5th, July 14th, Atal Bihari Vajpayee declares Operation Vijay a success. So, of course, this is, of course, what took place on July 14th, 1999. July 26th, 1999. Kargil war officially comes to an end. So, of course, we now know July 26, 1999, the Kargil war was officially ended. So now, viewers, we've given you an understanding on two things. One is, of course, the Lahore Declaration, what exactly it represented. Again, a breakthrough bilateral agreement is what people essentially called it. And we've also given you a timeline of the Kargil war, where it started, what exactly happened, what was the international intervention, and when exactly it ended. So we've given you a deep dive on that front. In fact, joining us at this point of time is my colleague Ajay Jandyal. Ajay, if you could take our viewers through what exactly Nawaz Sharif has stated. We, of course, now know that he's openly said that the Lahore Declaration was violated by Islamabad. Give our viewers a better understanding on this.
Well, you rightly said the way basically Nawaz Sharif, said so that shows that he has clearly admitted that how Pakistan have violated what they have basically agreed during the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime, and the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, admitted that Islamabad had violated an agreement with India signed by him and ex-Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 1999 in an apparent, reference to the Kargil misadventure by General Pervez Musharraf. We remember that how in 1998, on May 28, when Pakistan carried out a 5 nuclear test. After that, Vajpayee served him, and he, here and made an agreement. That is what Nawaz Sharif said, that the agreement was made, and what we violated that agreement, it was our fault. And Sharif told in a meeting of a PMLN General Council in that he was elected as the president of the ruling party for 6 years. This is happening after he was disqualified by the Supreme Court. And after a historic summit here, Nawaz Sharif and Atal Bihari Vajpayee signed the Lahore Declaration on February 21 in 1999, and the agreement that takes on, talked on about a vision of peace and stability between the two countries, because we have remembered that in the past what was happening, that violations and terror attacks that was happening, and when Bihari Vajpayee was Prime Minister of the country, this agreement was done between the two countries. When Nawaz Sharif was Pakistan Prime Minister, that both the countries have agreed that they will maintain peace, they will ensure that stability between the two countries' border will remain safe. But what it was only an agreement, because after that Musharraf then toppled the government and become president of Pakistan. He started Kargil, and we have seen that how Pakistani forces, they occupied Kargil hills, and then our forces, they have once again thrown them out and captured it back from Pakistan. So that was something which was a big blunder by Pakistan. And now Nawaz Sharif is admitting this, who's the president of ruling party of Pakistan, that it was a blunder and it was a mistake of Pakistan what they have done at that time.
Right, absolutely. Ajay, with that, I'd like to thank you for joining us on the broadcast, sharing all those details with our viewers. Meanwhile, joining us at this point of time is Ambassador Suresh Goyal, former diplomat. So a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX. Now, February 1999 was the day when the Lahore Agreement was signed. Subsequently after, of course, we know the Kargil war took place. We lost, unfortunately, 5,000 plus soldiers of our Jawans. And now it's been 25 years. Suddenly Nawaz Sharif has come out clean, and he said that that Islamabad, that Pakistan did in fact violate the Lahore Agreement. Why now?
There is one date that you did not compute into your long presentation and the timeline for Lahore Declaration and Kargil war. And I'm talking about 1998, when both India and Pakistan became declared nuclear powers, and that changed the whole strategic balance of power in the region. And it was very clear to both the countries now that no country can ever win a conventional war over each other. The fact is that when Pakistan's nuclear doctrine made it clear that they will be able to use a nuclear weapon in case they are losing a conventional war, it became very clear that it cannot. And therefore, in that context, starting the Kargil war knowing very well that they will not be able to, that in case they lose a Kargil war, it could actually lead to a huge conflict. That was a big mistake. I'm coming to the Lahore Declaration and the link with the Kargil war now. If you read the Lahore Declaration, almost all the phrases about stable relations, peace, etc., stability, these are mantras which have been in the discussions between India and Pakistan for a long time, ever since Shimla Agreement, bilateral resolution of disputes, peaceful, etc. They have been there all the time. Therefore, the Lahore Declaration importance was that we were able to sign that declaration after both India and Pakistan became the nuclear power, and therefore the Lahore Declaration was a kind of, would have been a guarantee that the two countries will not indulge in a military conflict. Therefore, the violation came when Kargil war took place and Pakistan started a military conflict, even though in the beginning, Pervez Musharraf and Nawaz Sharif, even though as a president, he should have known what was happening. If he says he didn't know, then I think it was basically a mistake on his part, not to know what is happening or what his chief of army is doing. And therefore, for them to say that they didn't know what was happening or to start a military conflict knowing very well what it could mean, that was a mistake. And that was a huge mistake which was resolved eventually only with the intervention of the US, because otherwise we do not know where the war could have led to. As far as the present is concerned, I think we need to be very clear that in the case of Pakistan, whatever might be the changing equations between the military and the civilian administration, eventually the army calls has a huge influence on the foreign policy, particularly as far as India is concerned. More so because the Pakistani army has always lost to the Indian army, and that kind of loss to the Indian army, if you know the ethos of Pakistani army, the Indian army, a defeat needs to be avenged. That kind of a feeling is there in the Pakistani army, and therefore they will remain full of that kind of feeling of revenge against the Indian army. And that danger will remain all the time. We need to be conscious of it. I don't think we can talk about any peace between India and Pakistan unless there is a change of mindset in Pakistan, and that is very unlikely. So therefore may not be Kargil, but the relationship will remain unstable, will remain full of tension, and will remain full of risk, particularly because army will not let peace come between the two countries because of what I've explained just now. Sorry.
Right, so absolutely. You said that there cannot be any talk about peace unless and until Pakistan, Pakistan then, comes in and takes some kind of ownership, some kind of responsibility and understands that they were wrong. But, I'd like to, in fact, rope in Advocate Manasvi Thapar, political analyst, into the broadcast. And, sir, what I want to, again, I want to ask you the same question. Why now is, of course, the first question. And secondly, the fact that now that Pakistan is accepting responsibility, will everyone who is accusing India now pressurize Pakistan?
I think it's very important to understand why now. Why now is because Pakistan just celebrated its first nuclear on 26th May 1998. It was an anniversary date of the first nuclear test which happened in Pakistan in 26th May 1998. And that's why in that context only Nawaz Sharif was having a discussion with one houses, and that's where it got reported, and it's coming out on a debate platform right now. But the reality is this only. So as Mr. Goyal mentioned previously, the most important date was, and how this declaration is different from other declaration was, because after 1998, both the nations became a nuclear power, and it was very imperative for both of them to protect their interests. So that's why this declaration came up as Lahore Declaration, and it was very important for Pakistan and India equally. So now it is coming out is because one, he's not there in the country, he's not the prime minister of the country, and he's trying to play that victim card. And I don't feel, as a prime minister, you would be unaware and you would want to blame Nawaz Sharif. You are equally there. You were there as the prime minister during that particular time, and it is equally you are responsible for what happened. Both the nations lost their army men, and most importantly, we didn't start the war. We have never started a war with Pakistan, and it's always the Pakistanis who have started the war, and they've always lost the war. And now it is coming out at this opportune time, and it also shows the negative media interaction we had during that particular time. The international media was not in favor of India. And now I think they should apologize to India, and they should understand India is a peace-loving nation. We only protect our territory. We have always tried not to fight with anyone until you come to our neck. Only then we retaliate. So this is a time India is rising. India is very strong as a nation. India is neck to neck with all the countries. Now the Western countries, the European countries and the United Nations should also apologize for what happened in their narrative setting. You can't be diplomatic with India and Pakistan. You should know in 1999 and 1990s that it was always the Pakistan government and the Pakistan as a nation which was strong and is a terrorism incubation. And we have been on the receiving end. We have always defended our territory. We have always tried to defend our people. It has never been a case where India has blasted against the Pakistan. It's always a reaction. We have been on the reactionary end with the Pakistan. So this is an opportune time for the world leaders to understand what India is, understand the dynamics of India, and India as a powerhouse will never act in terms of terrorism. We will always react. But now it's a different scenario. So if the world needs to be together, it has to take India as the first brother going forward.
Right. So absolutely. In fact, with us on the broadcast is also Mr. A.K. Jha, political analyst. So, taking, of course, very rightfully said by Advocate Manasi Thapar, India is not a country that unnecessarily strikes. And, in fact, during the Kargil war, again, as he pointed out very correctly, international media was not in favor of India. Now, with these statements that have been made by Nawaz Sharif, what do you think is going to happen next? Is there going to be any kind of international intervention that's going to be put forth? What's going to happen next, and what should actually ideally happen next, in your assessment?
Yes, exactly. We should try to look into this particular revelation by Mr. Nawaz Sharif. Actually, why? Why is a question which we must try to unravel. I think it is just not as superficial as it looks. It is a deep-rooted, probably some kind of plan on the part of Pakistan that Nawaz Sharif wants to give a message to India and international community that now here is the time. We want to move forward with you, since we know that India has also stopped all kinds of relationship with Pakistan in matters of economy and trade and other things. But India is a peace-loving country, as Mr. Thapar and Mr. Goyal has also they have also spoken about it. So I see that there is a message probably Mr. Nawaz Sharif wants to give it to not only India, also to China, and also to United States and UNO. And I have doubts that these things could have come out without any initiative from China. Maybe even China also wants to give this message through Pakistan that this is time you should go in some kind of understanding between two, so that there is a relative peace at the border bordering China as well as Pakistan, because we know China is our biggest trading partner even now, and in fact our trade with China has been growing by leaps and bounds in spite of all the facts that we are also growing very fast. So maybe it is a very well thought out plan that Nawaz Sharif wants to give a message to not only India, especially to India, and also to United States as well, So these are the things I can look into it, and maybe the next time when we hopefully when Modi government comes back or whosoever comes back, will take this message seriously, and maybe that we also start initiating with some kind of understanding with Pakistan, which can of course help South Asian countries and also China by the end of the day to grow, at least for the temporary period. I can visualize only this. Otherwise, what was the reason? Mr. Nawaz Sharif himself was there. He was prime minister, and he must have been in knowledge of whatever was going at Kargil. So now when he is just revealing it, I can only see that there are some deep meanings inside it, and we should try to uncover it and unravel it.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.